Well, good morning, everybody. I am coming to you from the new wing of our hospital because it's the quietest place I could find here. Our hospitals are remarkably noisy places, what with fans and people and telephones. And I wanted to go outside, but we're right near an airport, so that's noisy. And it seems like there's always a truck backing up somewhere. So coming to you from one of the workrooms in the new wing here. I'm not actually on final approach to runway 30 in New Jerusalem, and there is not actually a pesky balloon hovering over my head. So it's just a more interesting background than what's behind me. Plus I gotta disguise some things back there. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the spanning tree issue I had a few weeks ago. So if you recall, I found out that our Exos switches from Extreme Networks, they don't come with spanning tree already enabled, so you have to enable it. I talked to our professional services vendor, and he suggested enabling them with mode .801W, I believe it was. Anyway, and that was incorrect, as we later found out. So let me switch to my screen here, and I will show you what we were up against. So I'm going to share my screen here. Here we go. So we had this switch right here that kept going offline multiple times a day. It would just this is a product I use called Intermapper that monitors my network. Switch goes offline, it'll send an email. Green is good, red is bad. So this switch kept turning red and sending emails multiple times a day. It was driving me crazy. So I called Extreme Networks, and they dove in and took a look. They couldn't find anything wrong with the switch. We couldn't find anything wrong with the uplinks, and we couldn't find anything wrong with this intermediate switch. So of course, then we turned our attention to this main uplink, which goes to our core. Bonded S8 here. That does our core switching and routing for the entire hospital. So Extreme started digging in there, and what they started seeing was lots of spanning tree topology changes. Not good. We were getting topology changes every 0 to 3 seconds. It wouldn't go literally more than 3 seconds without a topology change. So we started digging in a little deeper, and so they finally went and they took a look at one of the Exos switches that appeared to be generating a lot of BPDUs because of all the topology changes, and it was this switch over here. So then they took a deeper look at this switch, and they noticed that while spanning tree was configured on it, it wasn't configured correctly. They recommend, well, let me just show you in the config. Okay, so as I was saying, that we could, they jumped into the switch and took a look at the spanning tree config. And what they saw was right up in here at the top of the config, they saw this command right here, which is how my professional services guy said we should set this up. So they said, no, actually we don't want to do this. When we are operating in a mixed Enterasys legacy versus Extreme Exos environment. So the old Enterasys secure stack switches, which we have a lot of here still, they won't operate in this .1W mode. They operate in, let me find it here, MSTP CIST mode. So we had to go through and change this mode on this switch here. So let me find it. There it is. So now you can see that that mode is gone. One of the other things they had me do is set up all the edge ports. So we put in this edge safeguard command and the BPDU restrict command so that these ports would not report any topology changes at all. And then the last thing they had me do was configure the uplink ports as a type point-to-point port. And so doing that seemed to help our topology changes. It got up to, like, from every 3 seconds having changes, we got up to like a minute without changes. So we needed to dig a little deeper. So what we did is jump into the core, and they would do, we would just look at the span tree stats and see how often we had, when the time since the last topology change we had. So like I said, this was like every 3 minutes, or sorry, every 3 seconds. Went up to, maybe 7 to 10 seconds. And so the other command they issued was show span tree command in the S series, debug. And that would tell you the ports that we were receiving topology change BPDUs on. And we would just compare the counts on the different ports and look and see what had changed. And from that, we were able to narrow it down to some of the other extreme stacks, the new Exos stacks that were having problems, switches. So, man, I'm just tongue-tied this morning. Just bear with me, guys. It's early. So we would just basically, okay, which link did we see topology changes on? We would investigate to see which switch was on that link. We'd go into that switch, see what the spanning tree setup was like. It was wrong. So from there, we just decided to have me go through all of our Exos switches, make these spanning tree changes, and see what happens. So I did do that, and now as you can see, I think the last change we had was 55 minutes ago. Let's find it here. There we go. Yeah, almost an hour ago. And that's when I changed the very last spanning tree config on the very last Exos switch. And I saved that one for last because a lot of our Nutanix servers are connected to that. So that's all changed now. That happened about an hour ago, as you can see. So now I'm just going to sit back and wait and see, how long we go between topology changes. The longest I've seen has been like a little over a day. So I'm going to go. I'm just going to monitor it and see what happens. So that is the long, sad tale of our spanning tree issues here at the hospital. So anyway, I hope that helps somebody. It was definitely a surprise that Exos didn't have that enabled by default. They seem to be, it's nice that they're infinitely configurable, but it's also a two-edged sword. You got to go in there and make sure everything's set up right. So anyway, I hope that helps you guys. Thanks for sitting through this long, rambling video. We'll catch you next time. I'm going to go have some coffee because I am tired. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you next time.